Someone who played you is now wallowing in remorse. Chosen one. After it comes to showing individuals what they've lost after it's too late to readily regain it, the world has a perverse sense of comedy. This athlete was unaware of the admiration others had for you, and now they're being destroyed from the inside out by that realization. It's about realizing that everyone else treated you like the main event, while they treated you like background noise. The individual who used your heart as a game is now experiencing a spiritual awakening. However, this player is still unaware that their awakening isn't arbitrary. It's planned. It's the universe's method of revealing to you something much more significant than the blindness of a single person. At this stage, they are aware that many individuals are vying for your attention and that you are ignoring them when they approach you. However, here is when the narrative becomes intriguing. At this point, you learn that what seems to be their epiphany is really the last piece fitting into a much bigger picture. Something significant was taking place in the spiritual world while this person was playing their little games with you and treating you like another player on their squad. Your vitality was rising. Your vibration was increasing. And everyone in your vicinity began to sense a change in you. A magnetic substance. Something that enticed them to be with you. Most likely, you experienced it as well. That change. That moment when you began to choose instead than chase. When you began to live up to your value instead of just justifying it. However, you were unaware that this change was not limited to internal factors. Like a radio signal, it was radiating outward, drawing in those who share your wavelength and driving away those who don't. Your friends began complimenting you on your strength. People began to show real interest in you. People at work began asking you what you thought. Engagement on your social media accounts increased. Opportunities and invites began to ring on your phone. However, this was not a coincidence. It was orchestration. Everyone who began to listen to you while this player ignored you as a part of a bigger scheme. While they were taking you for granted, every chance you had was a prelude to this moment. You were getting closer to this realization with each praise you got while they were sending you conflicting messages. For this individual to see precisely what they were missing, the universe was constructing a mirror. More significantly, however, it was creating a mirror that would allow you to see your true value. Are you prepared to see the whole reflection? However, the individual who was in the front row for your glow-up was too preoccupied with gaming to see the performance. They didn't realize that everyone else was attempting to approach them since they were so intent on keeping you at a distance. They missed the message about you being special because they were so focused on making you feel normal. As others rejoice over something they formerly took for granted, they are now observing from the sidelines. The comments on your postings are visible to them. Through common friends, they're learning about all the opportunities that are approaching you. They're seeing your self-assurance grow in ways they never encouraged when they had the opportunity. They're being eaten alive by it. They regret more than simply losing you. It's about realizing that what they couldn't see was visible to everyone else. It's about understanding that the rest of the world was celebrating your worth while they were doubting it. It's about realizing that they were the only one in the room who didn't get the joke because they were blind. This is what occurs when someone is unable to see holy energy, even when it is seated across from them at a meal. Your light wasn't the cause of their blindness. It has to do with their spiritual growth. Some individuals just lack the maturity to see what is holy when it is there in front of them. However, the cosmos doesn't spend time on those who lack spiritual maturity. You were finding your strength while others were demonstrating their limits. You were discovering what it was like to be acknowledged while they were exposing their incapacity to identify excellence. You were drawing in those who were prepared for something genuine while they were demonstrating that they weren't. Rare gifts are not wasted on unappreciative individuals by the cosmos. However, it also does not conceal unique talents from those who can value them. People who are prepared to recognize, celebrate, and return your energy discovered it. It was never about getting their approval. It was about getting rid of them. Spiritual teachers refer to this person's situation as scarcity panic. It occurs when someone discovers they undervalued what they assumed would always be accessible. When individuals discover that others share their desire for something, they become even more motivated to pursue it. However, their worry is well-timed. It was never truly about you that made them want you. It has to do with their ego. Winning was the goal. Having something that other people desired was the goal. And their competitive nature is starting to show now that they see how many others desire what they heedlessly threw away. However, the game they're playing is already ended. Because they cause you pain, they don't feel ashamed. They feel ashamed of their foolish appearance. They don't feel bad about losing out on love. They lament not being able to boast. They've finally realized how valuable you are. Therefore, they're not chasing you. They're chasing you because they've finally realized how valuable you are. Their concern over shortage was planned by the universe for your benefit, not theirs. It's not intended to reintroduce them into your life. It's intended to help you distinguish between someone who wants you because other people want you and someone who selects you because they appreciate you. Your quiet is a tactic, not cruelty. It's governance, not gaming, that's causing your unavailability. Your silence is an acknowledgement of your own strength, not retaliation. During your time apart from them, you've discovered something that they're just now starting to comprehend. You are not expected. Access to you is earned. This individual had the opportunity to delve deeply into your identity. They had the chance to learn about your secrets, tales, worries, and aspirations. They may have been the one who first spotted you, who loudly applauded you, and who had the most affection for you. They decided to try different waters while keeping you in the shallow end instead. They want to go deep now, but you've already migrated to a new ocean. You're no longer as frequent as they are. You've transcended their level of awareness. You've completed their grade. Furthermore, after you've gotten your PhD, there is no turning back to primary school. Promote this video to reach more selected people on this trip if this message triggered your knowing. Your spiritual development has taught you discernment, which is a wonderful thing. You can sense the difference between someone who only wants to own your body and someone who is interested in knowing your spirit. You can tell the difference between someone who tries to dull someone else's light and someone who is attracted to yours. They're learning from your silence what they could never learn from your words. It's demonstrating to them the worth of what they threw away. It's illustrating the strength of what they misjudged. It's showing how uncommon what they considered common is. More significantly, however, your ascent is being protected by your quiet. Your quiet is the loudest message you can make in a noisy society. In a society where people communicate all the time, your absence says a lot. Your inaction is a reaction in and of itself in a culture where people react instantly. You're being difficult to get, not playing hard to get. There's a distinction. Remorse is often seen in the context of spiritual law as an indication of a transgression of natural order. The cosmos has a way of making us feel the weight of our decisions when we disregard heavenly gifts, consider holy things as commonplace, or take unique riches for granted. This individual's remorse is not arbitrary. Cosmic feedback is what it is. Their remorse is evidence of your elevation. Losing access to commonplace items is not regretted by people. They lament that they can no longer access remarkable things. The amount of what they lost is closely correlated with how much they regret it. Their level of humiliation is a good indicator of how valuable you are. The rarity of your energy is shown by the intensity of their desperation. Witnessing someone realize they made a rare mistake has a profoundly lyrical quality. Seeing someone feel ashamed of decisions they made with such assurance is a sign of divine justice. Their humiliation goes beyond simple self-loathing. It's a spiritual adjustment. However, their shame isn't the true climax. It's freedom for you. It's the realization that their remorse is entirely related to them and has nothing to do with you. It's the realization that their plight is not an emergency for you. It's when you realize that your calm is really their terror. The cosmos was planning heavenly appointments while this individual was playing blind. Others were paying attention while they were ignoring you. Some individuals made you their first option while they treated you as a backup plan. Consider all the individuals who have changed or entered your life since you began to value yourself. Consider the opportunities that appeared out of nowhere. Consider the invites that began to arrive. Consider the respect that began to pour. It wasn't a coincidence. It was orchestration. While this individual was constructing a case against the cosmos, the universe was constructing a case for your value. While they were producing proof of their blindness, it was producing evidence of your worth. They were showcasing their limits, and you were showcasing your strength. You were sent to learn something about your own worth from everyone who applauded your development, while this individual ignored it. All those who selected you during this person's selection of everyone else were sent to demonstrate to you what it really feels like to be selected. This individual was too busy to show you what true interest looks like. Therefore, everyone who found time for you was sent. People always looked up to you. People with eyes to see always appreciated you. Those who have hearts to appreciate you always cherished you. Your brightness was never dimmed by this person's blindness. All it showed was that they couldn't see in the dark. This whole incident wasn't planned by the cosmos to educate you how valuable you are. It planned this experience to get you ready for someone who would see your value right away and never have to learn it. Someone who will recognize you right away and never cause you to question their vision. You were learning to never accept being taken advantage of again, while this individual was taking advantage of you. You were learning to only tolerate being someone's priority when they were treating you like an option. You learned to only devote your attention to those who value it while they forced you to compete for theirs. You are getting ready for someone's presence with each lesson you learn while they are away. Every barrier you establish when they are neglecting you is a step toward earning someone's regard. You are prepared for someone's constancy with each expectation you set throughout their games. It will never be necessary for the person who is intended for you to recognize how valuable you are. They won't ever have to come dangerously close to losing you in order to value you. They might be attracted without ever feeling competitive. They will see your value right away and continuously uphold it. You've outgrown those who need reminders to recognize what's valuable. People who require scarcity to experience desire are no longer you. People who need rivalry to feel attracted have been surpassed by you. You're getting ready for someone who thrives on plenty rather than scarcity. This player is learning how much other people appreciated you. It's not only that they've realized they've lost you. They're coming to the realization that they had no idea what they had access to in the first place. Evidence of how other people perceived you when they were treating you like background noise is all around them. When you weren't there, your coworkers would constantly inquire about you. In discussions that this player was unaware of, your pals were always standing up for you. This gamer never cared to notice how happy your family was of your successes. Your favorite coffee shop barista always remembered your order and gave you a sincere grin when you went in. Every time they spotted you, the neighbor would eagerly wave. The gym employee always gave you a respectful nod as you walked by. These were not haphazard deeds of generosity. Your energy prompted these reactions. These were responses to a magnetic quality of you that this guy was totally unaware of. They overlooked how big you seemed in everyone else's reality because they were so preoccupied with keeping you little in their own minds. They've been living in a separate world, and now they're hearing things about you that make them recognize that. They are realizing that while you were fortunate to have their attention, others were fortunate to have yours. They're discovering that while they saw you as unremarkable, everyone else thought you were exceptional. What happens when social evidence strikes like an avalanche is what this athlete is going through. All of a sudden, their perception of your social media activity has changed. Not all of those likes were arbitrary. Those were not only courteous remarks. There was more to those shares than simply algorithms. Those were sincere comments from folks who really valued your online presence. They're keeping an eye on how people react when your name is mentioned. They're seeing how people's expressions brighten when you're mentioned. When people speak about spending time with you, they can hear the excitement in their voices. When others talk about your character, they can see the reverence in the tones used. They understand that all of this appreciation was there while they were with you. While they were treating you as if you were disposable, all of this gratitude was taking place in real time. They were behaving as if you were drowning without them. Yet all of this recognition was swirling around you like water. This gamer is now learning something that is intensifying their remorse. They never bothered to look into the ways you were always popular. People wanted to invite you to events most of the time. People always hoped that you would attend events. People never paid attention to your social schedule because they were too busy managing their access to it, even though you were always the friend they contacted when they needed help or counsel. They were too preoccupied with when you were available for them to notice that your phone was buzzing with invites. They were too preoccupied with becoming the center of attention themselves to see how others tended to draw toward you in social situations. They now understand that your popularity did not grow after they departed. It was something that persisted in spite of them. Before, during, and after them, you were captivating. They are now paying attention to what everyone else has always seen, which is the difference. The horrible irony is that they are now desperate because of your fame. Not only do they miss you, being linked with someone who everyone else wants to be around is something they're losing out on. They're not only sorry about how they handled you, they regret not taking use of your social worth. Additionally, this player is learning how much respect you command in areas they have never bothered to visit. You always had an excellent reputation in your field. Your work ethic was often praised by your coworkers. Your supervisor always had faith in your judgment. You were always explicitly requested by your clientele. Under your direction, your initiatives have always been successful. However, they were too preoccupied with eroding your confidence in other areas to pay attention to your professional accomplishments. Because they were frightened by your success, they never honored your professional accomplishments. Because they wanted to feel better about themselves in the relationship, they never recognized your competence. Through shared ties, they're now learning about your professional achievements. They're finding out that you got promotions that they didn't bother to acknowledge. They're learning about initiatives that you oversaw but never bothered to comprehend. They're learning that you have earned recognition that they never bothered to recognize. They will understand that their disrespect was an exception rather than a representation of your true value when they see the respect you demand in professional settings. While they saw competition, everyone else saw your competence. They were intimidated by your skill, but everyone else saw it. The revelation of your magnetic field effect is what's really eating at this player. They're coming to understand that you inherently draw admirable attention and sincere connections wherever you go. You didn't make this up or counterfeit it. People were drawn to your genuine energy because of this. They're recalling social events in which you were naturally favored by others, but they saw it as chance instead of magnetism. They're thinking back to interactions in which you were able to connect with strangers with ease, but they wrote it off as people-pleasing instead of true charm. Though they ascribed it to circumstances rather than presence, they're recalling instances in which you controlled rooms without attempting to do so. There was always energy in your magnetic field. It was always you who added intrigue to chats. It was always you who added fun to get-togethers. Everywhere you went, you were the one who brought a higher level of enthusiasm. However, this player didn't see how brilliantly your light flashed for everyone else since they were too preoccupied with decreasing it. They disregarded every indication of your innate confidence because they were so interested in maintaining your insecurity. They were so focused on making you feel normal that they failed to see the amazing influence you had on other people. While they were busy mansplaining simple ideas to you, this gamer is now facing how much other people valued your intellect. They're learning that in intellectual circles they never bothered to investigate. Your thoughts were always appreciated. They never bothered to involve you in talks, yet they constantly asked for your thoughts. In forums, they never bothered to observe. Your opinions were always valued. Because they trusted your judgment, people always flocked to you for guidance. Friends admired your insight and always appreciated your opinions. Because they valued your analytical abilities, they always wanted to hear your point of view. However, this player was too preoccupied with talking over you to see your true intelligence. They are now being taught about discussions in which you offered solutions that they had never heard you mention. They're learning about issues you resolved that they were unaware of. They're learning about improvements you proposed that they never gave any thought to. Everyone, with the exception of the person who was meant to be closest to you, could always tell you were smart. When you talked, those who really listened could always tell how brilliant you were. Those who respected your opinions above their own need to seem intellectually superior could always see how wise you were. The realization of how your generosity impacted everyone around you. However, maybe the main factor behind this player's worst regret. They're learning about your little deeds of kindness that they never saw. They're listening to tales of assistance you supplied that they were unaware of. They're learning about the consolation you provided, which they were unaware of. You were always the one who didn't need reminding to remember birthdays. When things were tough, you were the buddy who always checked in without being asked. You were always the coworker who gave assistance without expecting praise. People always felt appreciated and noticed while you were around. While they were taking your generosity for granted, this gamer is now facing all the ways your generosity improved the lives of others. They're understanding that they weren't given preferential treatment because of your generosity. It was just the way you were with everyone you loved. The difference is that your compassion was acknowledged and returned by everyone else. Your kindness was acknowledged and appreciated by everyone else. Everyone else cherished and guarded your kind spirit. This gamer just took it without appreciating it and demanded it in return. This gamer is now learning how deeply you influenced others' allegiance while they were doubting your dedication to them. They're discovering that in talks when you weren't there to defend yourself, people would vehemently defend you. They're learning that when others attempted to damage your reputation, friends would do all in their power to keep it intact. Because you made the decision to be loyal to those who merited it, your commitment to others was always returned. Because you invested in individuals who valued investing, your commitment to relationships was always valued. Because you committed to those who understood commitment, your dedication to relationships was always respected. However, since they never merited it, this player never experienced your complete devotion. They never returned the favor, thus they never saw your whole commitment. They never proved themselves deserving of your whole devotion. Therefore, they never got it. If they had shown you the respect that loyalty demands, this player may have had the same level of loyalty that others felt from you. When this gamer prioritized gaming above real relationship, they gave up the devotion that others gained from you. This gamer is really realizing that they were never involved in the appreciating economy in which you were constantly working. In partnerships where gratitude was reciprocated, you were always expressing and receiving gratitude. In relationships where investment was reciprocal, you were always giving and getting money. They're now seeing how others reduced your victories while celebrating them. They're seeing how people question your goals and then back them. They're seeing how others have faith in your potential while they have doubts. Around them, the appreciation economy of which you were a part was constantly flourishing. However, they decided to work in a scarcity economy where validation was limited and acknowledgement was denied. Where enough was available, they decided to fabricate a scarcity. This gamer is now aware that you weren't the only one impacted by their scarcity mentality. It made it harder for them to notice how much adoration you were surrounded by. It interfered with their ability to appreciate the abundance of respect you commanded. Their ability to share in the wealth of gratitude you created was impacted. In areas where your opinions were valued, you were consistently a thought leader. In settings where your influence was respected, you were always influential. In situations when your choices were valued, you were always the one making them. However, this person was too preoccupied with manipulating your decisions to see how much other people relied on your judgment. They're now learning about the prospects that your reputation brought to you. Because of your influence, others are learning about the invites you got. Because of your influence, they're learning about calls for your involvement. Your impact was genuine and constantly expanding. However, this player was too preoccupied with reducing the volume of your speech to notice how loudly it was heard by others. Instead of using coercion or manipulation, your influence was acquired with genuineness and constancy. Take a time to hold that notion. I have a very significant matter that requires your attention. Through a weekly Zoom session, we're sharing what we know about healing others, healing yourself, and personal power. No holding back, no filters. All of the esoteric secrets we have gathered during actual years of spiritual practice have been discreetly included. Those who are prepared to follow the same road may now access the methods and knowledge that changed us from being controlled pawns into conscious creators. Please accept this offer to become a member of Obsidian Inner Order and help us expand our platform so that we can reach more selected individuals who are awaiting activation. Joining the Obsidian Inner Order gives you access to more than simply information that is prohibited. You're joining a movement that is changing reality itself. For all of us, it's a complete victory. The description contains a link. Finding the energy change that took place around you throughout your transition is what deepens this player's understanding. Before you had completely realized it yourself, others began to notice something unusual about your presence. Your vibe grew more magnetic, self-assured, and grounded. Before you spoke a word, others in the room could sense this change. You stopped settling for superficial connections, which led to deeper talks. You gained the ability to express your demands without feeling guilty, which helped you define your limits. You realized your value on a molecular level, which raised your standards. Except for the one who ought to have been listening the most, everyone in your immediate vicinity could notice this change. As your insights improved, coworkers began to ask you for your opinion more often. Your presence grew more reliable, and friends began to confide in you more. Your vibe grew more hospitable, and strangers began to approach you more naturally. Everyone operating on a higher frequency might see this change. Because the person that lost you was using such a low frequency, they were unaware of your ascension until it was too late. Their receiver was faulty, so they were unable to tune in to your development like a radio broadcast. The signal is so strong now that it is audible to everyone else. This gamer is working desperately to repair their gear. This player is now facing all the chances to honor you that were overlooked or disregarded. Every accomplishment you mentioned was met with a lackluster reception. All of your dreams were viewed with suspicion. Every accomplishment you had was downplayed or ascribed to chance rather than talent. You consistently achieved noteworthy feats, but this person was too preoccupied with their own goals to share in your successes. You were constantly developing in ways that were worthy of recognition, but doing so would have forced them to look at their own stagnation. This gamer is now haunted by the lost chances to respect you, since each one was a decision to lessen rather than increase your light. Every firing was a vote against your value. Instead of expressing your character, each minimization made a statement about theirs. Finding out how others safeguarded your energy as they were depleting, it is perhaps the most agonizing experience for this participant. Friends who would divert disparaging remarks about you before they could reach you. Relatives who would protect you from unhelpful criticism. Co-workers who, in the face of unwarranted criticism, would stand up for your job. People who recognized the value of your energy and the need to preserve it were constantly around you. People who understood that your tranquility was precious and shouldn't be disrupted by negativity always appreciated you. Those who saw your sensitivity as a strength rather than a flaw always loved you. Like an unseen force field, this protective network surrounded you, removing negativity and enhancing positive energy. Since defending you would have required them to cease being one of the sources you needed protection from, this player never took part in this protection process. This player is now recognizing that they were the ones hurling stones at the barriers that others were building to shield your energy. Others were causing turmoil that slowed your progress while they were establishing safe areas for it. Some were fostering your potential while others were doubting its existence. This gamer never cared to investigate the range of admiration that others had for you. Intellectual respect for your ability to solve problems. Respect for your emotional intelligence on an emotional level. Creative respect for your original ideas. Spiritual respect for your profundity and insight. Different facets of your complex personality were appreciated by each of the people in your life. Your wit and humor were liked by several. Your understanding and compassion were praised by others. Others were impressed by your tenacity and fortitude. Some were captivated by your ingenuity and inventiveness. Others admired your analytical and logical abilities. Because viewing your whole spectrum would have forced them to accept their own limits, this gamer only saw one aspect of who you are. Acknowledging your intellectual prowess would have required them to acknowledge their own stupidity. It would have required them to face their own shallowness in order to appreciate your depth of feeling. Those with eyes to see and hearts to appreciate always saw the full range of your admirability. Your limited appeal was not reflected in this player's restricted vision. It was proof of their limited ability to be acknowledged and valued. This gamer is also learning how your good influence on other people's life may have a knock-on effect. How your support enabled friends to go after goals they believed were unattainable. How your assistance enabled co-workers to overcome obstacles they believed were insurmountable. How your faith in other people inspired them to have faith in themselves. Your impact spread in ways that simultaneously improved the lives of many others. Because you knew how to irrigate seeds rather than uproot plants, you were always a catalyst for others to flourish. Because you led by example rather than criticism, you were a constant source of motivation for progress. Now, this player understands that if they lose access to you, they also lose access to the whole positive ecology they built around themselves. The opportunity to become a better version of themselves via being around your growth-oriented energy is lost when they miss you. The timing of this player's realization of your value is what's intensifying their remorse. They have attained a degree of understanding about your worth that makes losing you really heartbreaking, just as you have achieved a level of self-awareness and confidence that renders you truly inaccessible to their energy. This time has been expertly planned by the universe. Their recognition and your ascent are occurring at the same time, but they are going in different directions. Their frantic efforts to re-establish contact grow more pointless and humiliating as you gain greater awareness and self-assurance. There's a reason behind this time. Cosmic justice is at play. The universe is making sure that by the time this player sees what everyone else usually sees, you've already surpassed their frequency to the point where their late awareness is more of a confirmation than an invitation. The last period on the sentence of your development tale is the ideal moment of their waking. The turning moment in your transformation story is their realization. Their remorse turns into praise for your elevation. Their remorse is evidence that you were correct to take a back seat. You were correct to demand better, as shown by their desperation. Their humiliation serves as proof that you were correct to turn down their breadcrumbs. All of this is the universe's way of verifying that every decision you took to safeguard your energy was the right one. Long before they recognized your value, you were selected. Long before they realized it, you were unique. Long before they realized it, you were exceptional. Your value is not created by their praise. It only reaffirms what has always been true. What started with someone using your emotions to play games ends with the cosmos using your ego to play chess. They end up overestimating their prospects after first underestimating your value. Their frantic efforts to recover what they never rightfully claimed in the first place are the culmination of what began with their blindness to your worth. The individual who didn't spend time learning about your past is now closely examining every aspect of your current situation. The person who didn't take the time to go over your social media accounts is now going through years' worth of content. The gamer is now terrified of your unavailability since they assumed you would always be accessible. Their remorse is only the universe's method of punctuating a sentence that was already finished. Their humiliation is only cosmic validation of what you already knew. Their desperation is only an outward expression of a reality you already lived. What everyone else previously knew, they now know. They can now see what everyone else has previously seen. They now have the same desires as everyone else. The most crucial lesson, however, is that your value was always independent of their approval. That's why your serenity seems so complete and their sorrow feels so empty. That's why your delight seems so full and their despair so hollow. Their discomfort and your progress seems so appropriate because of this. You were destined to outgrow those who failed to see your value. You were destined to rise above those who saw you as commonplace. It was always your destiny to stop being accessible to those who made you feel worthless. And this is just how your narrative was supposed to play out. Selected one. The last person to observe your whole metamorphosis is the player who is unaware of how much other people respected you.